Hi. Okay. Hello, everyone in front of your screen. My name is Shihui Huang. I'm a member of the CIF Taiwan. Welcome to join our last talk of the year. And then this year, because the COVID-19, unfortunately, our CIF's good tradition, international exchange program cannot be proceed. So that's why we are having this talk with you and all the audience all over the world to join us and hear the social worker from all the countries. And maybe you will be wonder what is a CIF International. CIF is a voluntary group that bring all the community leaders and the social worker all together, share their experience together. So doing that, we want to achieve three goals. One is the peace building, cultural exchange, but of course, the most importantly, we learn from each other to learn how to do the social work better. And we are honored to have three speakers today, and also our host, Mei-kuei with us. And then Mei-kuei, she is really important for CIF Taiwan. She starting the idea to having the CIF in Taiwan. So that's why we have a national branch here now. But also she's really experienced professor, and they're working on a lot in the social work in Taiwan, but also in the student here. So please let me welcome her. And then Mei-kuei, she will introduce more about our topic today and our speaker.
Okay, so hello, everyone. And thank you, Shihui, to introduce all the CIA Taiwan. And it's my pleasure to be the host. Our topic of this talk is on family, children, and youth under COVID-19. It's our pleasure we have three keynote speakers to share their experience from their country. So there are Carolina Dominguez from Argentina. Say hello to everyone. And we have Kristina Weinsjö from Sweden. We also have the Shubha from India. And they all are very well experienced. And also CIF Taiwan have their friendship quite a long time. So let me start from the Carolina and hope they only have a 20 minutes, a very short talk. We hope have more. So shall we start from the Carolina? Okay.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
It's okay? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much. So, CIF Taiwan to invite me to share my work experience in this special situation that affects all the world. So I can share my experience in a children's hospital in Buenos Aires, where I work. My power.
So now we should have the PowerPoint. Hello, Shubha. So that's okay. Karina, shall you start talk a little bit about yourself and also what the work you have done?
Okay. Okay, thank you. I'm from CIF Argentina, and the topic is family, children, and youth under COVID-19, and the pandemic context, my experience in a children's hospital in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The next, please. Okay. I want to start with the general considerations. Yes. And the pandemic came unexpectedly, generating a global change in people's daily life and causing a strong economic, social, and health crisis. As the COVID-19 had a greater impact on the most vulnerable population, widening inequality gaps, increasing poverty levels in children and adolescents, the hidden victim of the pandemic. And in Argentina, 53% of children and adolescents are poor due to their parents' loss of jobs. This data is from UNICEF Argentina. The main tool to mitigate the spread of the virus is the preventive, compulsory social lockdown, which has affected the mental health of the population, especially children and adolescents. Next. About the general context about my country, Argentina is a big country and the population is 45 million inhabitants. And in Buenos Aires, Buenos Aires is divided in a city, in a province, have 16 million inhabitants, and the majority of the cases of infected for COVID is here in Buenos Aires. And the beginning of compulsory social isolation throughout in the country, March 20th. Confirmed cases is 600,000 and diseases 13,000. This date was 5 days ago. Yes. In this complex situation, the government established different public policies to contain the populations. The most important one are the emergency family income for families who lost their jobs and a food care for children under 6 years old. This was the most important. And the state school provide the student with food to alleviate the loss of income in the most vulnerable families. And in education area, children and adolescents have online lessons, but this is a challenge for teachers because a lot of students haven't got internet or electronic devices. In these cases, for example, in the school provides a workbook for children. The next. Okay, this is about my job, intervention with children and adolescents. Pedro de Lizalde Children's Hospital is in Buenos Aires City. It assists children and adolescents up to 18 years old. Most of them come from the very vulnerable families. And in 2007, an interdisciplinary mental health team made up a psychologist, a psychiatrist, and a social worker began to work in the emergency area with an integral view about the patients and the families. In March 2020, the arrival of the pandemic generated a change in the care of the children and their families. At the beginning, the assistance was reduced by isolation, but now the assistance returned in a new modality. I work in a mental health team in emergency area. All team work 24 hours, yes, every day, but my day is a Tuesday. The next. About the change in my daily life in a work with a team. The new health protocols to work was necessary in this difficult situation in health area, yes. For example, the virtual interview with cell phone or telephone and intercom is the new tools, because the interview face-to-face is not possible now. For example, in intercom is in the photo, there are two colleagues, social worker, that she is in interview with a mom in room, and this machine is in the wall. You can put a button, and about a microphone, you can talk with a mother and make an interview. And other rule is a social distance, 2 meters, person to person. And this, in this case, professional support in difficult situations is impossible. And the use of personal protection equipment with a surgical mask, plastic masks, and camisoles. This hinders interaction with others. In this photo is my team, mental health team, with wear this protection equipment. For example, patient can go out of the room and the playground is closed. This is playground in the hospital, in the hospital for children play, but with the pandemic it's impossible. So, and patients can receive visitors without support effective networks. I'm sorry, but the last and the patient can go out of the room. In this situation, children are more anxious and bored, but they have only a TV in the room for watch a TV, watch a cartoon. And this is difficult because the diary in the hospital is changed. For example, with I use a personal protection equipment is uncomfortable, but for example, you can't hear the other very clear. So it's very hot with the mask, 2 masks, surgical, and the under, and then plastic mask. It's very uncomfortable. The next, please. Oh, a challenge for social worker. I think that is an adaptation to the contact change of the new social context, innovation in the intervention tools, adaptation to protocols and personal protection elements, and self-care of the professional mental health, and generate collective spaces to think with others and make institutional work proposed, and social worker intervene with a present. Our great challenge today is how to maintain presence in the distance during our intervention. This is a great challenge at the moment. The next, please. I want to share with you, with audience, about a case. This is in the emergency areas. So an adolescent mother is admitted at night with her 18-month-old baby, who has been removed from an isolation center for suspected COVID patients. The baby has symptoms of bronchospasm, for which he must remain hospitalized. The mother was very distressed, overwhelmed, paralyzed, with intense crying. So the doctor requests intervention of the mental health team. We enter the room for suspected patient with our personal protection equipment. And the interview was conducted from the intercom because the mother didn't have cell phone. She didn't have information to contact her family for telephone emotional support. It was the first time that the young mom was alone without her family. It was a very difficult situation. Our strategy was to divide psychologists, psychiatry, and me. Divide ourselves. One contained from the intercom with the boys. Another was in their own windows to make eye contact. And the other looked for information to contact her family. After a while, she managed to make cell phone contact with her elder sister, who was able to provide that data that calmed the young mother, and so she was able to calm down and stay with her baby in the hospital. This is a summary, but was a very long time, this situation, this difficult situation for very young mind, 18 years old. This is an example. The next, please. Our reflection about this case. From this emergency context, we can ask the importance of the family network to contain unexpected and stressful situations. The COVID generates emotional fragility due to the fear of getting sick and being alone. And health protocols take care of us, at the same time hinder the intervention face-to-face. And virtuality is a new way for interacting. In this case, and other cases, for example, for social worker in hospital, that I work with the family, the relative, and mother, father, grandfather. It's very important, the network. But now with isolation, this is impossible, always by cell phone. So, the next, please. Final considerations. As social workers, in this uncertain context, we face the challenge of concentrating or thinking or recreating or intervention. The presence of the state is necessary through public policies that guarantee the rights of the population. And it is important to maintain the bond despite the isolation and the distance, where the other become a threat. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Her experience in the children's hospital. From my side, I have heard quite a lot of challenge for their daily work. And also I have very pleased to your team have make a lot of effort to do their best work. So that's quite good, I think, quite good for the hospital. And I know the audience probably have some questions, but we will leave for after all the speakers have finished their talk. Now, let me introduce the Kristina. And Kristina from Sweden. And she also, she is the lecturer in a college and a university. So I think she have a full experience to talk about this topic. Okay, I give you time from Kristina.
So, hello, everybody. Very nice to see you all, and I'm very pleased to be able to share some of my thoughts to you. Actually, the final years, I have been a family counselor in a local government office. So the things that I want to share is mainly from that kind of work. But of course, I also have thought a lot about work conditions for social workers, and so that is really close to my heart to see how can we make good conditions for the workers as well as for the clients. So if we start with my pictures, we can already go to the next one. Next picture, please. Because I try to answer two questions. How are vulnerable families and children affected, and how are social workers coping with this new situation? And are there any positive effects? And I really want to stress this, that this is not a scientific work that I've done. It's so much about my own understanding, listening to the radio, television, talking to friends, and seeing my clients. Next, please. I just see what I want to say. Yeah, I also want to say that I live in Stockholm, the capital city of Sweden, and there is about 1 million people in the Stockholm region. And the neighborhood where I work, there are 50,000 people, inhabitants. I also asked a few of my CIF members in Sweden about the situation in other parts of the country, and it seems to be quite similar. And an important conclusion is that we are still in the middle of the pandemic, and no one have a proper overview yet. We are all focusing on here and now, trying to do our best in this situation. I will give you a very short background of Sweden. Sweden is a country in the north of Europe with 10 million inhabitants, and the Stockholm region is a little bit above 1 million. To the surface, it's a very large country with some densely populated areas around the largest cities. COVID-19 has affected a great number of people so far. We had a very strong infection reaction in March. And so far, 5,876 people have died. And I think they say about 100,000 people have been shown with the infection. But in March and April and even May, there was not very many people tested. So there might be more. But more than half of them, the people that died, are elderly people living in residential units or was in need of home helpers. And Stockholm has had the highest number of COVID-19 infection during the months that has passed. Next, please. So we are walking on a slippery slope, and it all depends on the virus. But in social work, we often have to act before we have the knowledge. So social workers meet complex situations every day that couldn't be solved by the individuals or other support systems. And in social work, we meet situations continually where we have no evidence knowledges, or perhaps not even any experience knowledge. Every situation is somewhat new, but still we have to take actions to support children at risk and their parents. Next, please. So at first, the actions said, saving lives have been the main purpose from the government. And before anything else was said about the pandemic, the government decided to give financial support from the first day of sick leave, and you could stay at home up to 14 days before you had to go to the doctor to get a certificate. And this has been very, very helpful for both social workers and clients, not having to think about economy when you have symptoms. Next, please. Next, please. Governmental restrictions from the mid of March, when the pandemic was recognized, that they stopped all kind of public activities with more than 40 people. We were not allowed to visit elderly in residential units, and secondary school, universities, and other educations for adults, also Swedish for immigrants, had to change into distance teaching. Next, please. And together with this strong, what should I say, strong words from the government, we also got recommendations, and that was mainly for people age of 70 and older, because they were so much more likely to be very ill by the COVID-19. So they should be careful not meeting anyone that they did not live with, not seeing their grandchildren, and so on. They should also minimize going to shops and using public transports. We should all keep a distance to others, 1.5 to 2 meters. Stay at home with even mild symptoms. And then, of course, the early decision from the government giving an allowance for the first day of sick leave helped a lot. We should wash our hands frequently, work from home if possible, and don't use public transportation. But there were also some, next please. There were also some different measurements taken by the government in Sweden, and that was that primary school and preschools have been open all the time to all the children with no symptoms. And we have been free to take walks and seeing each other outdoors, which was, of course, very helpful, especially for people aged 70 and older. And we were allowed to move around in the country. At first, we were set not to leave our neighborhoods, but from mid-June, we were allowed to travel also within the whole of Sweden. And Sweden did never close the border, so people from abroad have been allowed into the country. Next, please. So the general made it easier to join the unemployment insurance and allowed a higher compensation to the end of this year. And instead of firing, companies can give staff a short-term leave. The government covers 90% of the wage 3 days a week, and the company pays for 2 days to make a quicker restart possible. And the general cover, as I said, was made for the first day of sick leave. And income losses have, to a high degree, been covered by extra support from the government. So therefore, the local government has not seen an extreme increase of applications yet. Please, next please. Social work is important for society in crisis, as has to run as usual. And that was so we all had to go to work, but employers immediately had to rearrange work in a safer manner. So it was decided that all staff should alter from working from home 1 week and the other week in office to keep the staff as fit and well as possible. And that was possible also that we had a safe possibility of working online from outside the office was introduced, as well as Teams, an online work tool. And then we could easily have meetings online with both clients and co-workers. And social workers also were told to be very, very restrictive with home visits and just meet in person in the office if necessary. And we had to make sure that no clients should come to the office with symptoms. And all meeting with colleagues from other departments, agencies, foster care families, and so on, has been taken place online. And we all stopped all the preventive group work with parents was cancelled. And I think that is something that might be difficult in the coming time, because when you cannot be a preventive social worker, problems might be bigger when they come to the office. But asking social workers, I'm here, they say that work has been as hectic as usual. It was difficult working from home every second week, they thought. Sometimes they felt low motivation working from home, not being able to have small talks about occurring problems or having breaks with colleagues. They were lonelier in doing their complicated work. But I think that social workers often are lonely, dealing with very difficult family problems, even without the pandemic. From the team leader's point of view, they said that work went unexpectedly well. The income of new referrals has not increased so far, and still there are not more family-related violence. But then we have to consider that family violence was really a great problem before. My colleague in Sundberg told me that luckily they didn't need to place any small children during the summer without in immediate foster care. And that was, of course, difficult also finding families, foster families, because of the Covid-19. So she was very happy that worked. Next, please. So early effects on vulnerable groups, and I chose this title because we don't see that many different effects from the point of view already in Sweden, as the government has taken so much care of the economical situation for people so far. But virus spread quicker in socially vulnerable neighborhoods where many immigrants are living, often many together. And it was difficult to reach out with the COVID-19 information in all languages. And there are 24% of our population have origins in other countries. And there are so many languages I cannot tell. And they come from all over the world. Service workers, as taxi drivers, met virus driving infected people from the airports or train stations before the pandemic was recognized. Low income and service workers can usually not work from home. Home helpers and other care workers are positions where many immigrants work. Home helpers in elderly care specifically are specifically vulnerable due to unsafe positions. I will share a few examples from my work. A single mother that I have been seeing for, I think, about 2 years back. She's a mother of 3 children, and she was born in a war zone, and she came to Sweden as a child. She has now been on sick leave for more than 2 years because of burnout. She was about to start going back to work, but needed support from the governmental insurance authority to try out what kind of job that would be suitable for her in the future. When the pandemic was there, the authority had to postpone the start until the pandemic is over. Her whole family got ill in early April, but recovered rather quick. The son, 16 years old, has been placed in foster care for a year, and he is now back in the family since another year. He was heavily involved in crime before, and now the mother and social authorities try very hard supporting him towards better direction. So far, he was doing well and had been working hard in school. His school used distant teaching from the start of the pandemic, but it didn't work for him. So his teacher decided that he and other children with the same learning difficulties should come back to school already after Easter in late April. And then the father of the youngest daughter, who usually take care of the daughter every second week, lost his father in COVID-19 during this time. The father was allowed to visit his father at the hospital, and then due to safety reasons, he afterwards had to stay at home during 2 weeks to ensure he was not infected. And during those weeks, the daughter could not see her father, and the mother did not get very much time to recover. During this period, we were just using phone calls. I have time. I take. Yeah. So I think I will just make a few more words that I want to say something about positive effects for clients. They have enjoyed meeting through Teams, and it has been a more equal situation for people, for the family, rather than meeting in the office. It has been easier to establish network meetings to support children and parents. And some children have managed better from home than in school. And also that some parents have been home that could have been very good for the children. They have spent more time with the children. Okay, I can see that I am running out of time, so you will just have to ask me questions. Thank you.
It's okay. We can leave some part you haven't finished yet, and for the Q&A, you can, if someone are interested in some part of your talk, and they can ask. Yeah. And please to see your voice. Not sometimes not really clear. Probably have an internet some problem, but you can find the chart. They will tell about how to fix or something to try. But thank you so much for your sharing your experience. So next we should welcome the Shubha. So give you 20 minutes, Shubha. So hello. Shubha is also Shubha's from India. She have done a lot of work for the women. So I will let everybody to hear about from Shubha. So shall we start, Shubha? Hello. Shall we start?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes. Oh, is my mic closed? No. Yes, sir. Okay. At the beginning, I would like to thank the CIF family all over the India and particularly CIF Sweden. I am Shubha. I worked as a community development officer in Mumbai Corporation for 36 years, and I implemented many schemes, and the most important was the livelihood schemes for urban poor. After the scheme was implemented, we formed a group of all these women entrepreneurs. I brought them together and formed the NGO so that they will get a continuous support, because the government has limitations. There are less workers and the population is very huge. As you can see in the first slide, in the middle is the slums of Mumbai. So you can just imagine how difficult it is to maintain social distancing in Mumbai. The population of Mumbai is 12.5 millions. The census was done in 2011, so 9 years back, and the area is 460 square kilometers. So the density is that per kilometer there are around 32,000 people staying in Mumbai. So the Mumbai is very crowded city. So this corona is giving a real challenge to Mumbai. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. The first step towards self-reliance, when working with urban poor in Mumbai city, the concentration was on the women, because most of the poor families are supported mainly by women, or whatever income they get, they try to look after the family in the best way they can. So it was the schemes concentrated on women to become empowered, to strengthen this woman. This was done through forming the self-help group of 10 women by opening the account in the nationalized banks. This gave them the knowledge of the economics, the banks. They gave them a self-confidence, self-realization. It formed a group bond which gave them a support. It was a self-economy. And instead of going for, and then after certain period, they started internally lending to each other for any problems they had. So they were not dependent on these money lenders in the slum, which were charging them a lot of interest. They became awareness of their rights as a citizens, because they were so bogged down by the poverty and the day-to-day struggle that they were not aware what are the different things available to them, and they did not use their potential. Next slide, please. The step further was they were working as a domestic help, or they were at home. And as you are aware, in India, in the lower socioeconomic class, the women get married very young. The girls are married at the age of sometimes 15 to 18, though legally it is allowed only after 18. So when they become 30, 32, they have a lot of economic problems, but in their head, they feel they're old, and there is, at this age, they cannot learn something new or start something new. So once they came together in the group as a self-help group and started, saving money, they had this confidence. So they were given skill training in different vocation depending on their need of the community as well as their potential and what they can do. And then they were given different vocational trainings like tailoring, bag making, home products, jewelry making, paper conversion, beautician, dress designers. Also their family members, the youths, were given the individual trainings like computer, mobile. So the whole family economically should come up. The effort was made in that way. Next slide, please. Once they were giving training, they needed some finance, some capital to start their own businesses. It was found by the research that when they are from poverty line families or the lowest socioeconomic strata of the society, it is difficult for them to work alone as an entrepreneur because they have a lot of house responsibility and they don't have any help at home. So it is best for them to work in a group as an entrepreneurs. So in a group of from 5 to 10, they came together to start their own businesses. They were given assistance for their micro enterprises through banks with the subsidy of 35%. First, it was 50% to 35%. Then they were helped to make the project report, get bank loans, apply for government tenders, and also the entrepreneur development training because certain skills were needed to do business in a group. So these skills were given to them. Next slide, please. Then there were some soft skills needed to increase their business because when they started, there were a lot of things which were needed because most of their business was done on the phone, on the WhatsApp, on Facebook to show their product. So they were given English speaking, they were given the training of use of smartphones, computers in collaboration with the big training institutes, also the students of social work colleges, the students of colleges. We have a national social service scheme. So they come and work in the slums along with us. So they gave them training in this. Then they were given different trainings as a grooming, as a confidence building, as personality development, the use of computer, to increase their business. Next slide. They needed ongoing support because after giving loan, it was very crucial to have the sustainable activity, the sustainable development. So they needed all over the year, 12 months, some kind of business. So they were helped in marketing by arranging exhibitions. Then CSR, we have a community social responsibility project in most of the big industries where they give 5% of their income for social work costs. So we arranged programs in the bigger companies for sale of their products, then to get bulk orders and networking. So if one group gets a bigger order, the group was divided into different groups. So all groups could get some or other kind of work all throughout the year. Next. These are some of the products which they make. There are, you can see, it's a food products. There are clothes, there's artificial jewelry, the candles, then the block printing, and even the gardening, selling of plants, vermicomposting. There are a lot of activities which are done by them. Next, please. This kind of programs where it was needed because we have a very huge population in Mumbai of nearly 15 millions. It was necessary for them to spread this message. So the first groups which were brought together, I made around 1,000 self-help groups. So they came together and they arranged different programs like rallies, workshop, health education camps, educational visit, and celebration of different festivals and giving legal aid to the people, women who are faced with domestic violence, and spread this message of having this different schemes through which the women can be given help, the youths can be given training and loan to start their own businesses or to get jobs. So this kind of programs were done. Next. Next slide. Expanding the horizon, because they are from slum areas. Sometimes they are, when they start their business and they get some amount of money, they are happy, but they want to, I wanted them to mix around with the bigger organizations of entrepreneurs. So they took part in different competition like eBay, Startup Cup, and the different organizations of the entrepreneurs we have in Mumbai. They took part in different conferences to understand how to expand their business, how to network, how to increase marketing, so that they can mix around with the people from this thing. That last but not the least, they also went to Bangkok on an educational trip with their own money to learn about marketing. Next. Giving back to society. This was done basically because I believed, and we all believe, that there should be, once we become privileged class, not only the government, but we ourselves should also take the responsibility of giving back to the society. So when they, in their head, they felt that they are poor. So we took different study tours to show them orphanages, different projected district rural areas where there were poverty, and then they felt that now that they have become entrepreneurs and come up little bit in their life, they should give back to the society. So they have give help to the orphanage. They have adopted an orphanage where they give education help, and on Diwali they give new clothes, because in orphanages generally people donate old things, so they never get a chance of using new clothes, so they give new clothes and other help. Also to the night shelter and other places, they try to in their limited capacity, they try to give back to the society. Next. Now we come to the COVID-19. I will just talk a little bit. In India, there are around 6 million, 5.83, that around 6 million cases of COVID-19. In that, 4.76, nearly 5 million have recovered, and there are 92,000 deaths in all over India. In Mumbai, there are around 85,000 cases, and death rate is around 2%. Most of the cases are asymptomatic. So the municipal corporation is having different, and government is having different schemes. I will not go in detail of it. If people are interested, then they can ask me later. But I will just point over here or focus on the different how these women groups, which were entrepreneurs in this time when there is lockdown and they have limited income, what they did. So they took part in the government food projects, because government was providing food. Because in Mumbai there are around 8 million migrants coming to Mumbai from all over Maharashtra as well as from whole of India. Many of these migrants have their own some of them have their own families and have settled, but a large majority of these migrants are staying alone and are daily wage earners. There are also many daily wage earners in Mumbai who couldn't earn anything because of the corona pandemic. So the government was providing food. The municipal corporation was providing food through rationing network as well as the prepared food. So this self-help group of women were preparing food and distributing food to the migrants, homeless, needy. Then there are different centers were made for isolation, quarantine centers, and in the hospitals for corona patients. So the food was provided there also. It was prepared very hygienically, supervised and provided. They worked also as a corona warriors, and they were felicitated by BMC. They did home visits, spreading awareness. They were trained by the corporation, and they went around to give information, distributing the ration, distributing different things which were needed to the needy people. And they had small stalls on the roadside stall. You can see one below on the slide. So they were preparing tea and food for the people who are essential services like police and BMC workers and the hospital staff. They were preparing food for them and supplying it at a concessional rate. In spite of they being poor, they were giving it in the concessional rate, even sometimes free to the police who were working 24 hours sometimes in this pandemic time. Preparing and supplying food parcels to residents, housing society. I've given one housing society picture over here to show you that where I stay, the housing society itself has 1,246 families, and around 100 employees are staying over here because they couldn't go home during lockdown. So the food was needed in these colonies. The food was needed in the houses where people were working from work from home and no domestic help was there. So this food parcels were supplied to the resident housing society employees. Then community kitchens, the food was given. Stranded people who couldn't reach their families, the hospital employees, the migrants who was walking back home or leaving the city or staying, police, etc. Now they changed their work also. From instead of they were making cloth bags, instead of that they started making cloth mask, because to have a disposable mask increases again the bio waste. So we mostly prefer the cloth mask with 3 layers, so which can be washed and used again. So they were making masks, and different kind of masks they had prepared. Gloves, hand gloves. Then some of them, the groups are preparing PPE suits, the sanitizing and cleaning material. Next is the extending support and work to the sex workers SHGs. There are some sex worker areas in Mumbai where who were suffered a lot because people are not so sympathetic towards them and they were not getting any help. So we came together, collected some donation and gave them help as grains and food items. And the corporation also started. We contacted corporation and local corporator, and the help was provided to them. Also, we tried to give them some employment during this pandemic time, and now they're making candles and also food packets. Collecting and sending essential help to orphanage. We have adopted an orphanage where it was totally dependent on charity, and because of the pandemic, the charity has become little less because people have problems, economic problems. So we try to collect essential things in Mumbai and send it to them, which the picture is there in this thing. Next slide, please. Searching new avenues, that helping underprivileged and finding new business activities. There are some business activities pictures which are shown here, which I talked earlier, but you can see that there are food parcels which were made. Then the home products were this thing, and then the help was given, distributed to the sex workers, and there were masks of different kinds were made, the candles and the home products which are very much in demand for cleanliness, for sanitizers. So this kind of different products were made so that they survive as well as they become help to the corporation as well as to the society in this trying times. Next slide, please. This is just a CIF program in India. I just became nostalgic that so many people had visited, and now we can meet only through Zoom and like we are meeting today. So there is someone from Argentina, Germany, Sweden, which we still are friends, and also from Taiwan. So this is just a CIF India paid program, photographs for your knowledge. Next. Thank you. This is my presentation. I cannot cover the whole situation in India. Basically, in Mumbai, we are having a lot of cases, and that is because in this pandemic, the most important thing is to maintain social distance, use of mask and sanitizer. But in Mumbai, it is really, really difficult to maintain social distance because of the density. But the government and the corporation is trying their best, and as a citizens, all of us are trying to help each other as well as the society. The basic problem we are having is for senior citizen and children, and we are not seeing any psychological means we are seeing a limited psychological problems at this time, but it is going to have a long-term impact on children who are isolated and who are not going to school and are having Zoom schools at home. And the senior citizens are also homebound. We are having a complete lockdown, which is slowly we are trying to lift, but it is difficult in this situation in Mumbai. This is from me. Any questions, I'm happy to answer. Thank you.
Shubha, it was fascinating for me actually, and I think quite a different way for the women to change what they have done. So I think I find a quite similar situation in Taiwan. Although we have a wonderful country which control the COVID-19 quite well. However,
Yes.
from my profession for the domestic violence, and I have seen a situation in a woman shelter in Taiwan. I have seen women used to cooking together and eating together and chatting together in the shelters. However, because the COVID-19, they had to keep the distance. They cook alone, they eat in their room, and also they can't talking a lot because I have to keep distance. So the children also feel bored actually because they have to stay in their room all the time. That's I find similar in Carolina, the hospital. I just wondering from the you use the cell phone and online visit. How do you do some program for the children in the hospital if they are feel bored? That's my question from give the Carolina. And for Kristina, I have the one question about. I heard quite a lot on undocumented refugees in Sweden. And I know for the COVID-19, the Sweden have give quite a lot of financial support for the family. And to every family also receive the support or not. Or maybe they need some condition or they need the documents. Can you share more about for the immigrants? How do they get the support from the government, local government? And for the Shubha, I have one question because before the COVID-19, you have a lot of work to the community with the women. And after the COVID-19, have you still done the same things? Because you have to have a lot of work with the community, with the women. And even the COVID-19 have a quite worrying about if you keep you keep contact each other all the time, that maybe have been influence for the virus. Have you changed like Carolina or Kristina? They said, have you used the wrong online visit or online talk like that? Can you share about this? And also, please, to see the comments, quite the member online, they have some question. I give you everybody probably about 5 minutes, and you can just respond some comments to for the question as well. Is that shall we start from Carolina? Is that okay?
Yes,
okay.
Sure. About the work with patients, children and adolescents, sometimes they come for different symptoms, anxious, and this pandemic change because the pandemic affects mental health, all population, and especially in children and adolescents. For example, improper behaviors, children are anxious, are bored. And I'm social worker, but I work with interdisciplinary with my colleagues and psychology and psychiatry. And for example, I work especially with the family support, for example, in patients, you know. For example, about work with network, how to organize the care and children. There are different situations. For example, I can help to access to different policies, income, for example, support to the family. But in the hospital, at the moment, the focus is on mental health. And the more important is work in a team with the rest of the colleagues about when children are very bad and family can't support the children. I think that is very important, work in a team and give a better request. I don't know. I think that it's okay.
Okay, that's okay. How about the Kristina? I think quite a lot of people are curious about the for the pandemic this situation. Is everyone get the financial support?
If you are an undocumented immigrant, and then I have to say that this is not at all my own area, so this is my understanding. How it was before COVID was that it was decided that all children are allowed to go to school when you are in Sweden. And the authorities are not allowed to follow the children to find out where the family is hiding. Because these are the undocumented immigrants, they are people that did not get the position as a refugee. So that is the big problem. And I think the government is not supporting them financially with food and so on. I think that is more through volunteer organizations and private families supporting. It was given a general, what can I say, that the regional offices could decide what kind of support they wanted to give to the families that are undocumented. So there is no official support as far as I know. But also they are eligible to get, medical care that cannot wait. So it's a difficult situation.
Okay, thank you. How about Shubha? I think there's a question about community label work. Can you see the private chat? Okay.
I am, first of all, I want to tell you that I was working in a BMC and I'm retired 3 years back. And now I had already formed the NGO of all these entrepreneurs who are from slum itself. I am just a legal and social chief advisor to many of these NGOs of these women. So I'm kind of a facilitator and a bridge between this the government, the other NGOs like Rotary clubs and Lion clubs, and the different companies and this woman. So because I'm now a full-time grandmother, so I'm looking, and I have 3 doctors in the family who are working for COVID. So I have to concentrate at home, but I do visited some of the slums with taking all the precautions, like the red light area I visited. I visit municipal office nearly once a week. And then we talk on phone, on WhatsApp group messages. We have a group on the WhatsApp, so we give messages to each other. Then I gave them idea when they became afraid that what will happen to their entrepreneurship. So we talked with each other and gave them a support, and this new ideas came in. The question was how frequently the food is distributed to the needy. The BMC, like Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai, is distributing food every day, morning, lunch, and a dinner. There are different private NGOs and Rotary clubs and Lion clubs who are distributing grains, oil, and necessary food items to the people. Also, the political leaders like councillors and MLAs, and MPs are also on their own distributing things to the these groceries and other essential items to the people, to the needy and the migrants. Many of the migrants were helped to go back to their city, though they were stranded for nearly 1 to 2 months in Mumbai. That time they were given food and other facilities to stay also, because they couldn't pay the rent. They were staying in the rental places and they couldn't pay rent. So there were also group accommodations were provided by the corporation and the government. Though may not be everybody got it, but they try their level best, because the situation with population is really difficult in Mumbai. It is also us, is the woman more influenced under the pandemic? I would like to say in India, women are used to so many adversities that they were the stronger in this pandemic. I believe, and because the men are usually going out and working, and they were forced to stay in the home, was more difficult for them from working from home, or being unemployed was more difficult for them. Women find a way, because if you see in India, even the most stronger uh, god god is goddesses. So usually people pray to goddesses when they are in trouble. So they fought it out and they find a ways to cope it. And there are different cells available for women in we have some particular numbers which on this way they can call if they are in distress. We have a separate cell in police station for women, but women are I feel less affected than men, because they are used to staying at home, working from home, and managing their time well. So they are the stronger ones, I believe. Is there any number of social? Yeah, there are social workers affected, but fortunately in Mumbai, there is no death in social worker, but definitely in our officers, like ward officers, the assistant commissioner, DMCs, and mostly the police force. Many have got COVID, and also there are deaths. In doctors, there are deaths, and because it is difficult to maintain social distances even in hospitals, though there are with PP suit, because they're overflowing now. Somehow, because of that lockdown, they've increased the hospital. The private hospitals are also made COVID hospitals, but compared to the population, we have a real battle in Mumbai. But we are trying our level best. That's the only thing I can say at this point of the time. But government is doing something, but there are a lot of NGOs, there are a lot of clubs like Rotary Club, Lion Club, and even the self-help groups and the women, the residents in the slum themselves are helping each other when there are problems. But the problems are definitely there, the employment, the GDP and everything. But we being a poor country, like developing country, we are used to fighting. So we are fighting it out, I believe, and we will.
Okay, thank you. I think that there come one more question for the Carolina. They say how the social worker in hospital to take care of themselves.
Yes, this is a very important topic, the self-care. I think that, for example, I have my therapy session, and for example, I can practice yoga, for example. I can go to work, but this moment is so difficult because you can't meet with friends is very necessary, support to friends, to family. But 6 months ago, I can't go to meet with my friends. So it's very important because they work in the emergency area, in a children's hospital. So it's difficult because it's hard situation. And for me, it's very important to meet with a work team. Sometimes social workers of the emergency area, we have a meet, online meet to talk about the different situation, the difficult situation, about the protocols. So I have a different friends meet that I can talk about this anxious situation online. But it's necessary. For example, yoga for me is very relaxing, and yes, and my psychology therapy is necessary. Yes.
Okay, Kristina, they have one question about the wearing the mask in Sweden. I think they quite a different opinion about wearing the mask. How do you think about that? And also, is there any restriction at the school you have to wearing the mask?
Yes, this has really been a very hot issue in Sweden, and the authorities and government has all the time said that if we wash our hands and keep distance, then that's the best. That is safer than using the masks. This morning I heard a woman that had been in charge of I don't know what to say in Swedish, in English, but of this kind of health issues before, but she's retired. And she said that at first she thought that we should use masks going in the public transportation. And perhaps that will happen. We don't know, because now, since August, September, so many more people are back on the trains and buses again. But in school, when I talk to children and ask them how is school, what are you doing? Do you talk a lot about COVID-19? And they say, yes, every day we have to wash our hands as soon as we come to school, and several times during the day, and especially when we go for lunch and eat and so on, both before and after the meal. And they also have made distances in the classrooms, so that the children do not sit closely together as much as possible. And I think through the spring, many children were held at home, because even children would stay home with slight symptoms. So perhaps just half the group of children were in the room. But this is an ongoing discussion. What had been said was that you have to know how to use a mask to be safe, because they say that with many people they use the hand, taking down the mask like this, and then you have the virus on your hand. And who will you protect? I think when I was in Taiwan, I could really see how well you could use the masks, but this is new for us. We need to learn how to use it. And I think what I learned in Taiwan was that you want to protect others from yourself. That's the main reason when you use your mask. And I think that is a very nice way of taking care of each other. So this is a question, ongoing question in Sweden. And perhaps we will start using masks. Some people do, you can see, but not most people do. Thank you.
So I think for the time, I only can take one more question for all of you. And it's about, I think use some way for the digital way to connect to your client. How do you think about the value of the long distance visit? And I think each maybe 2 minutes to share. How do you look at this value of a digital way in the future of the social work? For example, in Taiwan, we don't really affect for the we keep normal to home visit. But if the situation for example, in the university, we have a long distance online teaching and lecture. If the social work can't do the home visit, they have to do the digital way. How do you think about the value of the digital way to service our clients? I think that will be the ending question for each of you. Shall we start from Shubha? Okay, Shubha, open your mic.
Mic is muted. Okay. In India, the municipal corporation have social workers in 3 areas: schools and hospitals, and planning department, and the population project. All 4 are going to the offices. Only the first month was lockdown. All other are advised by taking proper precautions. We are going, and we have a women touch. So only the school teachers are the online school, but the social workers are going to the offices, because we are very many welfare schemes like this food giving and other projects are there, like awareness project, visiting the hospital, the big buildings where the spread is there too. We are starting different schemes like visiting each house, and also with PPE suit and everything, there is a human touch. Like we are not having the Zoom meetings or so. The social workers, only the first month, that also many were going, like 10% of our staff was going. So some of them are considered as essential services. So social worker come under the essential services. So they were going to offices and working. I don't know about NGOs. Like many of the NGOs were not working, but many of the NGOs were working, and the social workers were going also to the slum areas as well as in the offices. So the Zoom thing is not in India, at least in Mumbai or any other places. Thank you.
Okay. How about Carolina? How do you think about this question? Carolina, you have to open your mic.
Okay, it's okay. About the question of what I think about the home digital work, depends of the area. For example, for me in health system, it's not easy to work on home office and social worker, because I work in a hospital, in another community center in neighborhood, and I need to go to my work because I need work in territory with people face to face with this protocol. For me, depend in this situation where everybody have possibility that in fact maybe it's possible, but I need go to my work face to face with people. I don't know in the future will be the better way, but at the moment, for me, in health area is necessary both, and depends. For example, in another areas maybe it's possible work home office.
Okay. How about Kristina?
Yes, I think that my own experience has been that I had a client that I never met. We just talked through the phone, and she was motivated to do that. So with some people it functions well, and with others I think it is really important to see each other face to face. And as a social worker myself, I need to meet my colleagues. I was staying at home the whole of April, working online, and I was so tired of being alone. So I think there are so many different ideas about. But what is a good thing is that for many poor people, it costs a lot to take time off to go to see the social worker in the office. And I think also what we learned that gathering networks around a family is it's really good, because then you can also ask for help from distance, people not living in the Stockholm region, but perhaps in the north or in other countries could join. And I think there we see much more possibilities. So it has opened our eyes, I think.
I think that for the social work, for the contact to clients, very important. Some of them need to face-to-face, and also we have to help the family, and we have to see the family. But for this COVID-19, some will change the way we see the client, and also if the situation very serious, we have to all keep at home to work. But for the corona, make one really good point, because for the social worker, we have to work in the office. For example, in the hospital, you have to see your patient and you have to help them. So you can't really just keep at home. But for the Kristina, you said it depends on different kind of client. If the telephone counseling can make work, it maybe is also the good way. And also for the Shubha, and I think that for community levels work during the COVID-19, maybe for the private NGO, they have played a quite important role to support the family. And also I think the women is always make a lot of effort, because they so used to work from home, and this situation doesn't change their life quite a lot. But I'm sure the COVID-19 have influenced quite a lot of people's life. So let me conclude a little bit. I'm quite happy to hear different country, the social worker, how they have done their work, and how to they see the COVID-19 have influence our family and children and youth. And I think also pandemic has influenced the service delivery system for the social worker profession as well. However, we have the opportunity to advance the social work and create a needed tool to strengthen our ability to meet the needs of family as well. The global pandemic has provided a crucial juncture for the social work profession, and also we reflect and consider the manner in which we deliver service for the family, for the children, and also for the youth. And thank you so much for these 3 wonderful keynote speakers. And sorry, we only give you the limit time. And I think a lot of the audience, they have still want to talk on all of this topic. If you still want to discuss some point of this talk, and do feel free to visit the CIF Taiwan, the YouTube, and the Facebook. So and the last 1 minute for each of them to say to the audience. Is that okay?
Yes.
Then 30 seconds for each of you. Okay, from the Carolina, give you 30 seconds to say something for this talk.
So I think that this new complex situation is difficult around the world, and for example, in my country now is the effect is very low, and I think that all people need work together with other, sing with other, recreate tools, and the self-care is very important. And I don't know, but thank you for this space, this time to share with others. Is the new model, and for example, CIF International, because exchange, share, and experience is important. And this year is typical, and we need contact by line, by internet.
Yeah, thank you. And Kristina?
Yes, I appreciate it so much to hear voices from other countries, and I'm missing seeing each other in person. And I think this is one way of staying in touch, because I think this is what we need to do to be ready to keep our organization until the next time we can see each other in person. So it gives me a lot of energy. Thank you.
Thank you. Shubha?
I just wanted to make one more point. Is I lost one of my friend, Dr. Japta, in this pandemic, and his wife is also a doctor in BMC, and she actually he was very friendly, so he had a lot of friends. So many people tried to contact her, so she blocked them, and then she realized that she needs support also, emotional, because so she started a support group in Mumbai for people who have lost the dear ones in COVID, to support each other, a online group, which is a very nice and good initiative, which can be implemented elsewhere also. And and this pandemic has, though made us isolated, it has in a way brought the world together, like we all have come together today. So I am sure that together all these doctors are also, and the scientists are working together. So we will find a way through this very soon, surely, I feel. It's a really very difficult time for Indians, because we are people's people. We have joint families. We want to hug people. We want to be together. We want to talk with people. We very easily go to our neighbor's house, just ring a bell and enter and talk. So this is a really difficult time to be isolated, but we have learned a way, like because of the social media and online meetings and things, like learning experience for all of us. So I hope this situation ends soon, and pray to the God that it really should end soon, and we, instead of virtually, we should meet personally soon. A CIF family.
So we will see each other soon. So thank you again, and thank you, three of you, to share all your experience. Now I think I should return to Sihui about to the ending this talk. Okay, Sihui. Sihui, you should open your mind.
Okay, thank you, Mei-kuei, for your great hosting, and thanks for our speaker, and also thanks for all the audience online and company with us for the past 90 minutes. I really deeply thanks for all the good question and the comment, also your support. So just some few quick update. We are really happy that this is our final talk of the year, and we hope we can do that next year as well. But also, we expect to see you face to face. And some good news to share is like today this seminar will be also write down as an article in English, in German, also in Mandarin, and post in the different journal for the social worker all over the world. So we are really happy to see it's not only a point, but also more feedback will come. And don't worry, all the questions I already saw it, and CIF Taiwan will try our best to put the answer to the comments. So please keep watching this video and also share with your friend. And also, last but not least, use your Facebook, use your Google, check the CIF International and the CIF Taiwan. And we are also open for the donation. And also feel free to message us to see how to support us. Doesn't matter it's a donation from the money or like to be our home host, or just ask us anything we can cooperate together and have fun. Well, this is the Friday night in Taiwan, and I wish you all have a good day, good afternoon, and a good night, and maybe see you next time. Bye-bye.